All right. Can you all see me? So that's the first question. Yes. Perfect. So hello, everyone, and welcome to another expert session number 94. Our guest today is Andre Abi Awad. First off, I want to say thanks to our sponsors. So VTEX, the commerce platform powering global retail experiences, and AirMeet, the platform enabling our global virtual and hybrid events. Short bio here, Andre Abi Awad is an entrepreneur and advisor with more than 16 years of experience working with founders and leadership teams across, he just corrected me, 57 countries. He built and scaled multiple ventures, most notably Digital Smarter, a customer acquisition company that expanded across 11 countries and was sold in 2022. What shapes Andreas' perspective is his exposure to full business cycles. He went through two bankruptcies before that exit, which fundamentally altered how he thinks about growth narratives, founder resilience, and the difference between momentum and real optionality. Today, he works with founders preparing companies for growth or exit, helping them navigate advisors, negotiations, and the often unspoken consequences of selling a business. My co-host today, Jean Lies, a former president of Adian Adian Dutch company in Latin America, an Evolve Club member and board member and senior advisor. He brings a capital governance and system levels lens to how companies scale, negotiate power, and sustain long-term value. And Hendrik Lovscher, very active Evolve Club member, ecom analyst. So very excited to have you both here with me today. Um, I always start these sessions with one controversial question, Andre. And the question for you is, founders often say they are preparing for growth or an exit, yet structure their business in ways that makes both increasingly unlikely. In your experience, what is the most persistent illusion founders hold about being ready for scale or exit?
Yeah. Well, one of the things we hear a lot is when an entrepreneur launches their own company, they say, "Now I have a new baby." Yeah, I think we all heard this all over the world. We have a new baby, and that's the first mistake. I believe so, considering your company as your baby, because now you're having a lot of emotional attachment, and any sign of any upward sign, no matter what it is, even if it's not revenue, you think that you're doing good. So I remember 3 years ago, I was working with an entrepreneur, and he told me, "We have 13,000 users." I said, "That's perfect. How many are paying?" He said, "We did not integrate the payment gateway yet." I said, like, what do you currently have? Like, you never tested the platform to know if people are going to pay for it. They are enjoying it for free now. And talking about revenue, one of the illusions I see is that, especially because I work with entrepreneurs who want to get investment or who want to exit their companies, they believe that revenue equals readiness to exit, or revenue equals I'm ready to get investment. And a climbing P&L or a climbing traction in terms of money does not mean your company is valuable, because also my program is called the freedom owner. If the company depends on you as a business owner, you're the hub of the company. It means your company is not really valuable, because if someone wants to invest in it, you want to de-risk it from your presence and day-to-day decisions. And if someone wants to buy it, they don't want to buy you as the company, they want to buy the company. So if the company is not able to run without you, it means that's an illusion of a company, even if it generates multiple millions of dollars. So just to say it in brief takeaways, when you generate revenue, you are validating the product. But if you want to exit and get investment, you need systems that validate your readiness to exit. And if the business runs, I like to say this way: if the business runs on your charisma, it's not a valuable business. It's a job that you have, because founders, they do not pay for your hard work. They pay for a system, a machine that works without you.
Thank you for that. So let's start with your perhaps a little bit of your origin story. I think Andre, I did a video short the other day with you, which was very powerful, which is nobody talks about their or we don't hear so often about our failures, right? And in our podcast Voices, you spoke openly about being bankrupt twice. I think I broke quite a few times. Evolves now finally seems to be going on the right path, but I think that's very powerful. You know, like to speak about the failures rather than the successes, because there's a lot of BS out there, and I rather cover the realities of being an entrepreneur and failing to build something. So I love if you could cover your origin story. Yeah, and how did you come about selling your business? But before, if we could cover that, I think that's super powerful.
Yeah, I will cover the three stories in very brief way, and the main takeaways that I got from that, because I was bankrupt twice and I exited the big exit in 2022. So uh, the first bankruptcy, Carlos and everyone, I come from a poor family and I was the first son. So basically, I had to work in order for us to have food on the table, as I say it. And at a certain point, when I just wanted to have my own business, I took a loan, and I believe that was the best lesson and the worst mistake I had starting a business. I had a bank loan and I lost it in 8 months. I had to repay it in 5 years, and that was really hard. I went through 5 months of deep depression with no support because I couldn't pay for a psychologist or no one to support. So it was hard to get out of this. And I believe from this failure, I learned a lot. One, on the business failure side, I learned that uh, don't work with your friends unless you know that they have the qualifications, they have the experience in whatever they are supporting you with. And I believe the first bankruptcy I relied on one friend who showed me that he can do it, but actually he did not have the experience. And we're talking here about the structure, legal, and licenses, and a lot of things. So it took us a long time to be up and running. That was when I lost all the money I had from the loan, and I couldn't afford to continue with the company. That was one of the lessons. Another lesson that I believe shaped my knowledge and skills later on, I lacked financial discipline. You're coming from a uh, poor family, poor system, and suddenly you have good money in the bank because of the bank loan, not because of your own effort, and you don't know how to really manage these financials. I didn't manage them well, and that was one of the failures in my opinion. And coming from an engineering background and working with numbers and so on, it was easier for me later on to acquire these skills and to know how to analyze my financials and move forward. So that was the first bankruptcy. Quick lessons. The second one, it was with a greedy partner, and it didn't last long. But I got the best lesson in choosing my future partners because of the second bankruptcy. And one time I signaled it this way. I said, if you want victory, that's the victory sign. If you want victory in your business with your partner, that's two. You need the two V's, and the first V, you need to have the same vision, and the second V, you need to have the same values. And values is because whenever there's misunderstanding or conflict, so both of you can solve these issues very easily if you have the same values. And vision is whenever you are growing, you want both of you to be taking the right decisions together and not taking different paths when you are growing. So that was the second lesson from the second bankruptcy. And the third story is my exit of Digital Smarter. Well, I started Digital Smarter in 2012, and I treated it as a freelance thing until 2016 when I had two big clients. I hired my first employee, and then we started growing the company. In 2018, and that was because I was in the mindset of working on the business, not in the business. I was able to restructure the company and to also uh, discontinue some services and focus on one main service. At the same time, promoting one of my the senior people in the team to become a partner. And the plan was for me at the end of the year to stop being in the business, and it worked. In 2019, I wasn't in the day-to-day operations, and 2022 we sold the business. And the biggest lesson from this was, if I want to scale the business, I should not be really on my day-to-day decisions in order for me to scale it and grow it.
Brilliant. Jean, you have now operated some massive organizations. I think leadership is something you know quite a lot about. And now that you're a senior advisor, perhaps you're working with some entrepreneurs and maybe you have some questions, but also things that you see on your day to day. So,
Oh, absolutely. Um, First of all, Andre, great story, really great story. I think that's ultimately how you learn to operate in business, right? You have to feel the heat, you have to feel the pain, and I think you did, right? So really big compliment. Um, and I think that being an advisor or a consultant in this business requires a hands-on experience, in my opinion, right? Uh, the sole reason why I decided to move from working in organizations and corporations to doing my own thing was because I always felt whenever I worked with consultants or people trying to tell me how to do the business, they had a lot of theory, a lot of theoretical um, insight and beautiful slides, but very little understanding of how things really work. They never felt it, right? And
Yeah,
and I think,
yeah,
like I said, this was the main reason why I decided to flip the switch and say, okay, I want to really try to help the young entrepreneurs to grow their business sustainably, and accepting the fact that it won't be a smooth ride. It won't be easy. There will be hard bumps and failures along the way. And I many times I feel that, like you said in the beginning, Andre, entrepreneurs tend to treat their businesses like their babies, which is understandable, right? So you're putting your lifeblood into your idea. You're going through hardships. You're taking loans or credits or trying to get funding. You tend to treat the business as it was your own child. The difference, though, is that many times entrepreneurs expect that this child grows too quickly, and they raise this child for the wrong reason, right? They raise this child to make money, all right? And they don't raise the child like you
exactly.
do with your own child to get the best out of your child, right? In this case, to generate value, to create a product that is amazing, that really uh, is valuable to the companies and people using your product or service or whatever you're creating, right? And and I think that many times this is where you see entrepreneurs and businesses failing because they kind of lose touch with, why am I doing it in the first place? What is it what we're trying to create, right? And they lose touch with that because many times because of early success. They see things are going well, I'm making money, even if it's not my own money, like you said, right? um, um, so in summary, what I'm saying is that I found your story super compelling, super interesting, because it kind of tells a little bit this story, right? What people tend to imagine is being an entrepreneur. Everybody wants to be Elon Musk and wants to be a billionaire and everything, but people tend to forget what it really costs and how you get there and how quickly or slowly
Exactly.
rather you typically get there, right?
Exactly.
Do you have any remarks on what Andre on what Jan said, Andre, or perhaps Hendrik? Because Hendrik also has been part of some South African group, right, Hendrik? And I think you have seen how capital works and how entrepreneurs they dream of becoming the next Elon Musk's and whatnot and being on the headlines. But
Yeah,
what reality also is.
so Carlos, I'm quite unique in the sense that I believe I'm one of the few people in the South African market that worked for a business that was acquired, sold, and then acquired again. And I must say, I agree with Jean in the sense that Andre's story for me is, I call that the realities of running a business. I think one of the biggest challenges is that people have watched too many movies, read too many versions of TechCrunch, and believe that entrepreneurship is easy. I'll just say this out bluntly. I have a rule: no family, and the friends I only work with you if I've known you for 5 years at minimum, and um, I must completely be aware of how you operate and how you treat people. Otherwise, it's a lottery. I think what Andre's story for me highlighted is what I call the calluses of business. There is no such thing as overnight success. That doesn't exist. Let me just be the bearer of really bad news today. That does not exist. Two, secondly, you running the business and understanding that the business needs to be operatable without you being there is what many entrepreneurs struggle with. I always use the analogy, and I get lots of blank stares about it, is that if a bus hits me tomorrow, I think I'll be fine because my businesses can run without me because I've got software and processes in place for that. And until you get to that point, but I think it's also, for me, goes hand in hand with experience. Understanding the power of delegation is something that founders don't understand, I believe. I don't want to get into the debate over founder mode. I think that's a beautiful another version of Silicon Valley that wants to go into a TV show somewhere that basically sounds good on a piece of paper, but there's different phases of a business. I think understanding the phase what you're in is important, but I think the founder of the business sets the culture, sets the way in which the business handles. I always say that the best sports teams essentially take the personality of their manager or coach or head coach or whatever coaching lingo there is. And I think with businesses, the things that Andre highlighted in his story for me are all the challenges that I think first time founders don't understand. Picking a co founder is not something that you do over a cup of coffee. I hate to break it to you. Either the coffee is too cheap or you have no idea what you are doing. It's essentially multiple visits. It's not speed dating. Is you need to understand where there's alignment of personalities. I can tell you my favorite businesses to work is when there is like a yin and a yang with a founder and a co-founder where they can essentially finish other sentences without that for me is when you know that the business are aligned. But I also think that, and this is for me most probably a controversial statement to make, but I particularly don't care because I know Carlos will probably tell me, explain this or whatever. But I think one of the biggest things that entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs that have raised capital, forget is that it's not your money. It's money that was given to you for a specific role or for a specific reason. You can't spend the money and do things that's not aligned with it. unless you have governance structures inside your business that ensures that that cannot happen, you have a problem. And I think one of the biggest other things is that founders don't know when they need an advisory board, and they don't know when they need a board. Sorry, I've like must probably jump like 5 years ahead.
And that's exactly, thank you, Hendrik. And that's actually a good segue for the next question, which is, Andre, when you see companies, is Andre there? I think his internet is a little unstable. Let me just, are you there, Andre? Hello, hello. Yes, Andre, are you there?
Okay, I think I lost connection for less than a minute. Okay.
Okay, perfect. I said that Hendrik's point on founders not knowing when they need help, it was a good segue for this next question. So when you look at companies that are growing quickly but they never become truly valuable, what structural weaknesses are usually present and potentially early ignored? What do you see in your experience?
Hmm. Uh, well, one thing, one time, someone told me, he said, you have a tumor and you scale it, it really says that you're gonna die soon. Yeah, and if you want to scale thing, it needs to be a system, a healthy process, a healthy structure to scale. So one of the you've mentioned structural weaknesses or that really most of the founders ignore at the beginning, and it becomes harder to create and later on, is create the standard procedures, create processes to upskill the team and not being relying on one person. Most of the time, and I call it employee number one, the first employee you hire, you teach them a lot of things, and they become a little bit uh, a clone of many of the things you used to do yourself. And then if this person leaves, basically you're falling down again, and you have to hire on else, train them again, because you don't have playbook, uh, you don't have these processes documented and in your documentation and standardization. And this is what will make company weak and not able to scale. Uh,
Yeah, Andre,
um,
let me just say, I think your internet is breaking a little. Perhaps I'm not sure if you're using the Wi-Fi where you're based, or do you have maybe your 5G? Maybe if you like to try that, so we can try and have more.
Actually, I am on this.
Yeah,
If it,
it's just a bit
okay.
unstable.
Is it fine now, or
Yeah, now
is
it
it
got
fine now, or
now
it's
it's
still
now I think
unstable?
it's better. I get well, it's a bit better. So perhaps
Uh, I will summarize if it wasn't
yeah,
if it cut, I will summarize.
okay.
First, don't rely on employee number one or any employee in the business without really documenting your systems and the processes. These are the assets that you want. It's not only the people, because people, you never know why they will leave. Sometimes for good
Mhm.
reasons, sometimes for bad reasons. So that's one. And people think like agility, it's like we're moving fast and doing things and we don't have to document it now, we need to grow and so on. But this hockey stick, if you don't decelerate and create this structure, you cannot accelerate after a while. So agility without structure is chaos. I think Hendrik mentioned chaos early on. and
Mm-hmm.
uh, and your operational efficiency, it's about, and your growth, it's about all these assets that you create from the systems, from the SOPs, from the scoreboards that you have, from the hiring processes, the operation process, everything that you create. that does not rely purely on people. Of course, you can hire people to implement and so on, but you're not relying on one person knowledge that's in their mind, because at a certain point, even if it was you, the founder, if you're not there, things will not move forward.
Brilliant. So documenting and creating your systems, and then of course, as you progress, having good people that can replicate what you do. Let's talk about then selling the business, and what are the typical mistakes that you see in that process. I think both Hendrik and Jan also have seen this firsthand, working in the organizations that they have worked. And so Jan, now that you support businesses now as an advisor, maybe you can contribute and help me with this question. But I'd love to, Andre, if you could comment on some of the things. I think there's the earnout period sometimes that entrepreneurs, they don't know about that. There's a lot of waiting periods and tensions that go through when you're negotiating the business. And so I'd love if you could comment also about that. And Jean and Hendrik, please, would love to have your contributions and questions here as well. So Andre, maybe if you'd like to start.
Yeah, perfect. Well, one of the things that is common a lot is that founders, they don't really understand the process, and most of the time they want to exit because of personal reasons, instead of really like the right strategic way of exiting, and why they are exiting. And I heard it a lot when I meet with these entrepreneurs who want to exit. Some people tell me, I'm tired, I want to sell the business. Some they say, I don't have, I'm running low on runway, for example, or I'm looking for change. So these things that they are so personal, and it's not really giving value to the company to be sold. And once you don't have these options for exit, and that's why when people tell me I want to exit, I tell them, we need to assess your business readiness and your personal readiness, because most of the time you need at least, or on average, let's say, 2 years to be exit ready on the personal level, and exit ready on also the business level. So uh, I prefer, whenever I talk with business owners who want to exit, I tell them, please don't overshare your personal fatigue, because it becomes a liability. It's not like it won't give you leverage. Silence is your leverage. So be silent on that side. And also when you're negotiating, and some people also, they don't think about the due diligence and the time it takes, and the liquidation preferences, for example, in their term sheets with the investors, the earn-out, as you just mentioned. Some people, they don't even know that there is an earn-out. So when they tell me I'm tired and I want to leave, I tell them, hold your horses, because you may stay like for a year or sometimes 2 years uh, in the business. So relax. Don't do it out of desperation. It needs to be
Yeah.
more strategic. So
And you
the
still
person
have to perform, right, Andre? You still have to perform. It's not
exactly
right,
exactly
because
exactly.
many founders, they tend to think, okay, all right, I'm out of here.
Yeah,
No.
I tell them it won't be a sunny day after you sell. You're still dancing in the rain. So and one thing, if you show that you're desperate and you want to sell, the person who needs the deal less always controls the negotiation. So mostly the buyer is going to control the negotiation. So I go back to being involved emotionally. So uh, uh, and there's one story about this. I don't want to mention the name of the person, but he was emotionally spending the money before the wire
Cool.
transfer. Yeah. So when the buyout was happening, when they were acquiring the business, they knew that they can push him, and they had a 15% discount on the exit ticket. And because he was already emotionally spending the money, and like dreaming about all of this, basically he was cornered, and he had to sell for 15% less. So don't be attached emotionally with these numbers, and you need to understand the process. That's why you need an advisor, by the way, for that.
That's I think those are very valuable tips. Jean, I love to hear you, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to comment that I agree with you, Andre, that probably one of the most important factors is the motivation behind the exit, right? So why do you want to exit? And in my experience, like I briefly said before, I think the most successful exits are the ones where you see that the founder or the founding team actually paid attention to generating value, not becoming rich, right? And that's when you typically also see that the founders, they're very careful about how they negotiate the terms of a potential exit, right? Typically, they don't want to give up control of the company right from the start just to get a big check from an investor. It's quite the opposite. They want to maintain control because they're generating value. They're creating a product or a solution or a service that differentiates, right? And it's important for the founding team to be involved and to continue driving the vision and the innovation and so on, right? Like I said, when you see that there's true purpose behind, behind the funding round or a potential exit, you typically see that it takes longer, and it becomes, to use a term, I'm not sure if that's the right term, but it's a more mature process, right? Because it typically takes longer and it's well thought. Right.
Nice, Hendrik.
So, once again, we might sit 20,000 miles from one another, but Jean essentially was reading my mind or my thoughts on this. And I think as an advisor, one of the things that I've learned over the last 5 years is that as an advisor, you need to make peace with the fact that some entrepreneurs only create companies to exit that exist. Then you have others that actually want to do it long term to generate generational wealth, or option 3, that they have no idea. And I think to Andre's point, and I think it's really important to note, the best people that I've worked with are the ones that basically keep this whole transaction, like the information, as tight as humanly possible. And they negotiate really well up front to ensure that, for me, the moment I had this learning was one of the companies I advised. They were at the table, the contracts were being basically passed around, and the founder said out of nowhere, guys, look, just one question. Am I going to be reporting to somebody, or is this going to be a subsidiary where we can basically do what we want and we continue to just make revenues here? And I'll never forget how that one specific answer changed the entire, the climate in that negotiation, because it felt like suddenly everybody there was definite queries as to where did this come from. So for me, the desperation that Andre talks of, for me, that's always a concern, because then you're essentially negating your exit by the day and when you open your mouth. So having advisors around you that can advise the founder and the management team is critical. But I think also I'll add to the conversation, in which I think founders need to also admit that the whole mergers and acquisition situation is, in most cases, completely outside of their scope. And I believe that, and I don't mind sharing it with the guys in the Evolve community, but I believe that the moment you start talking about an exit, it's an 18-month project. And there's no definite answer, it's a yes or a no. But at the end of the day, it's about finding a fit. And if there is not a fit, you need to be able to walk away. That, for me, is one of the things that I don't think many think about. I don't think many people understand. And you also need to understand the culture of the business that is acquiring you. is this going to be an easy transition, or is this going to be absolute disasters? I've had cases where we were almost done, and then the founders learned that this is a disaster, and they essentially tell the people, guys, we have a problem here. You want to give us your money, which is great, but the problem is you have a very bad uh, reputation for handling leaders and founders. Carlos, we need to get Andre to open up some more and talk about all the little tricks of the trade he has, because the man is basically giving nuggets away today for not much.
That's right. And Andre, my one point on everything you guys just shared, and we'll open the stage also for the community to jump in. But it's more like perhaps a pushback on the idea, number one, that you should sell a business. I'm kind of sometimes I think you could at least the idea have a business, I won't say as a lifestyle, but as a means to, create jobs and not have the idea of creating for an exit. I think that's probably an American narrative that we kind of like bought into. Create for the exit and someone is going to acquire. But you could also have a business with purpose that is going to create hopefully jobs and that's going to have impact. So not necessarily thinking about the exit, maybe just for us to reflect here, and we'd love to hear your thoughts, but also what
I
what
can
Hendrik
comment
is
on
saying.
this if you want.
Yeah, yes,
Well,
please comment on that. But just another thing is about finding a strategic investor over a financial one, which is something you shared in the Voices
Yeah.
episode, because it's kind of connected with what Hendrik is saying.
yeah, let me go back to the exit narrative that you've mentioned.
Mhm.
When I work with businesses and during the workshop that I deliver, it's called the Freedom Workshop. When I show the options that you have, it's the exit. It's you exiting. It doesn't have to be you
Mhm.
selling the business. Yeah. So you can become the chairperson of the business. You can give it to the second generation, pass it to the second generation. You can, there is the management buy in, management buy out. There are many things. There is the IPO, which is also another form of the things. There are a lot of things, and I tell people uh, there are many family businesses that survived 7 generations. I know one with 8 generations still in the family. They didn't exit to anywhere. They're still running it as a family business, and it grew a lot. Uh, but is it dependent on the founders or the owners? That's the exit we want to talk about. So I believe if
Mhm.
I want to keep the exit narrative, I make it like, can you exit? And by the way, when I work as an advisor with business owners, there's one question that really makes all the difference. I ask them, can you take 1 month's vacation and the business keeps running and growing? And
Mhm.
the first thing they say, like, 1 month? Like if I go 2 days, my phone will be ringing all day. 1 month? I say, it means you don't have a business, you have a job. So can you
Mhm.
exit the door of the business? I'm reformulating the sentence. Yeah. Can you exit the door of the business and it keeps running? So when you come back, you have a healthy business. That's the exit narrative. It doesn't have to be sellable. But at the same point, at the same time, like 2 months ago, I was in Qatar, and one of my friends was telling me her uncle, he has two children, both of them they are out of the business, they don't like it, and he grew an empire. It's in 3 countries. It's a multi-million-dollar company. He doesn't know what to do. At his 60s now. He wants to retire, but he can't retire because there's no one to pass the business to. Imagine. And he, because he doesn't have the exit mindset and he's not ready for that, he's looking to close the business instead of selling the business or giving it, or create this corporate governance, hire a CEO, keep it running, having like having the shares and keep having it for the family. So I believe having the exit mindset is super important. That's why I usually use the Lebanese author Gibran Khalil Gibran. You know it, you know him. He wrote The Prophet. I'm sure you have heard of him. And he said, your children are not yours. Your children are the children of life. Yeah. And I say, even if your business is your baby, it's not yours. Yeah. They are, because even your children, when they grow up, they leave the house. So you need to make sure that your business is ready to leave. So you leave from it. And the second question you asked, remind me
About
what.
a strategic investor over a financial one. And then Gustavo,
Yes,
please make
yes.
sure people are ready to join.
Yeah.
If you could, please.
My preference all the time, and actually today in the around noon, I'm in Dubai, so it's 4 p.m. now. Around 4 hours ago, one tech entrepreneur, he wanted an investor. The first one I introduced over the phone, and now they are going to meet, is someone who can add a lot of strategic value from his expertise. He's an executive at Google, so that's one on the tech side. At the same time, from his network, because he can add a lot of value from the network he has, because he's an EMEA manager. So imagine the network that he has, and and then the money, and the last thing, the money. Yeah, because even if I introduce you to someone who has a lot of money, even when I work with investors, by the way, not only entrepreneurs, when I work with investors and they tell me where should we invest, the first thing I ask is, tell me about you, tell me about your interest, your portfolio, where have you worked, what's the industry you're most connected in, what knowledge do you have, what inside knowledge you have. If I know this, I know where to fit the founder with the investor. Because if you only want money, go get a loan, go get anything. Like money can come from anywhere. Because if you, and I have a story here, if you get an investor who's only putting the money and they have a say in the business, you're gonna have a lot of problems. And one of my friends, now we can talk about the story because he mentioned it on one of my podcasts 10 years ago in 2016. Uh, he's the founder, Fadi Abbas. He's the founder of Scalado. Scalado was acquired by Nokia in 2012 for $64 million. And then Microsoft acquired Nokia. Then LG acquired the technology of Fadi Abbas for $2.2 billion. Imagine, like, the value of what he created. But before he sold the company, he told me it took him 6 months to convince his financial investors that the company needs rebranding. Nothing else. Yeah, rebranding. That's the simplest thing you can ask from your shareholders. Yeah, because it was created in the 90s. The logo was still black and white, and they are looking to sell it. They wanted it to be a little bit more sexy as a brand. 6 months lobbying to get the acceptance of rebranding the company. Just
I
imagine.
like the word lobbying. It's a strong word.
So you don't
Yeah,
want
sorry.
you don't want to fall into this trap. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna take more time on this, but I believe it's self-explanatory.
Very good. We have Vinny. Hey, Vinny, welcome, man. Long time. Good to see you. First question coming from Vinny. Go ahead, Vinny, if we can see you.
Can you see? Oh, wait there.
What's
one second.
going? What? We can see you. Yeah, now we can see you. Go
Bet
ahead.
you're wishing you couldn't. Andre, thanks so much for sharing so openly. A question I have about all the different points that you've gone through. Are you a very self-aware person? Like, were you aware you needed resilience? Were you aware you could bounce back? Or was it something that just happened and now in retrospect you feel like self-awareness is something that you have a lot of? I spoke to a lot of people before Christmas, and one of the common threads was this common self-awareness, the ability to pause, reflect, and then move on without it becoming a life-changing Twitter moment or whatever. You're nodding. Is that something you have a lot of?
I love your question, honestly. Yeah.
I'm glad.
Coming from two bankruptcies, it was really hard to keep doing some mistakes and being bankrupt more than twice. Yeah. And and one of the things that really changed my life and my perspective, it's a quote from Jim Rohn. It's you are the average of the 5 people you interact with the most. And in 2013, I used it literally by having 5 business owners surrounding me and meeting with at least one of them every week in order for me to get into the mindset. Actually, this happened indirectly, but that's what I learned: the mindset and the habits of a successful business owner. And on the 8th uh, in August 2014, I wrote, and it's still online on LinkedIn, I will never be an employee anymore. Why? Because I acquired most of the habits and the mindset of successful business owners. And thanks God, it's been like 12 years now. I'm not employed
Wow.
again, and doing good. So your self-awareness first, my opinion, okay.
Mm.
Self-awareness comes from all the mistakes you've done, all the experiences you've went through. And if you only want it from your own experience and the mistakes you've and the failures, it's gonna cost you a lot. So the third source is the people you surround yourself with, and I've learned a lot from these people. And I always have a mentor, and this is one of the lessons I learned early on. Always have a mentor, because sometimes you're blind. You want
Mhm.
someone to see things from another perspective. And that's why, being also an advisor for business owners, you can see things from another perspective and show it to them. Another thing I've learned, and I've been implementing it since 2018 so far, every 6 months, I take 5 days totally disconnected. Totally disconnected means no laptop, no mobile phone. I only have a pen and a notebook
Wow.
and my idea book. That's a book that I always have. I have it here. I can show it to you. My idea book. Yeah, it's like it's always next to me. If I have an idea, I just write it on my
Yeah.
notebook. It's a white paper notebook. Yeah, nothing special. Just write your
Mm.
ideas on it. And every Saturday morning, I reflect on what I wrote during the week. If there's anything I need to research, I do that. I need to schedule. I schedule. Even if I scheduled after 2 years, I have things scheduled for 2026. They were scheduled in 2024. So that's totally fine, because the right moment. And if there's anything I want to give to my personal assistant to research or to tell me about it, I do that early on to my team and so on. But during these 5 days, and the magic will happen. I did this, by the way, in December, from 1 to 6 December. I took a totally disconnection trip, and I had a lot of reflections. After these 5 days, you come up with a plan that and with a lot of insights that will really change drastically a lot of things you're doing. Sometimes your habits, sometimes your systems, your processes, and so on. The magic happens on the third day. The first 2 days, a lot of ideas coming from your short-term experiences. The
Mhm.
third day, you start reflecting on things you're missing, like your subconscious mind is telling you a lot of things, and it
Yeah.
gives you a lot of self-awareness, the thing you just
Mm.
mentioned.
Okay.
And to give one specific experience that was a turning point in my life, and on the professional side, especially in the company I exited in 2022, it was a retreat I had in May 2018. And it was a 5 days disconnection. I was reflecting on everything. And then when I came back to the office, the first thing I did was I promoted one of my senior managers to become a partner in the company, and I
Mhm.
gave him, of course, a milestones to achieve before gaining that, and becoming the acting CEO of the company. And the second thing, I say it in a funny way, I fired 4 clients because I said I want to discontinue one of my services. And the third thing, one of my team members, I told her, here's your salary, here's the laptop of the company, because she doesn't have a laptop. Here's
Mhm.
another bonus for you. I want you to take these 4 clients and open your own business, because you're the one who's mostly involved in this. We're gonna channel anyone coming to us for you, and we're gonna support you in your own business. But we're not gonna serve these services anymore. And the fifth thing I've done, which turned out magically beneficial to us, is I had a co-working space, and the company was inside my co-working space. So I told the employees, in July, end of July 2018, we're going to be location independent. That's what I called it back then. And
Yeah.
location independent, it means everyone can work anywhere, and we're gonna meet online, and we're gonna meet sometimes whenever you're in Lebanon, because some of them used to travel, and we continue the business. So when COVID hit, they told us about remote work, but we were doing it since July 2018. Yeah. And it was business as usual. It turned magical. So that's my take on self-awareness. And I can tell you, no one can have full self-awareness, especially when you're emotionally hijacked, especially when you're having a lot of problems and troubles at work. Uh, 1 hour per day in pure silence will help you a lot. Uh, some hours every Saturday. That's for me. I reflect on all the week, and always having a mentor by your side. That's super important.
It's brilliant. A
Brilliant.
much more complete answer than I was expecting. But thanks. It's really interesting to hear it. There's a couple of things strike me. One, you mentioned some writings. I'm guessing, like many people of our age, you've got faith, which I think is really important, and the ability then to separate ourselves from our work is a huge cultural difference. So one of the emerging themes or constant themes here, Carlos, is that, you know, US versus non-US values that contribute to how we build and develop businesses, I think are interesting. We don't get the same valuations, we don't get the same exit numbers as in the US, but we do it, I think, with a lot less stress. We also do it without the anxiety or that loneliness that you get after you exit, because you've got all these other things that have already filled your life. And I think that's a really interesting part of the story here. And I think it's one of those things we're going to see over and over again to everyone that's on the call. And Jean, you've been on a few, and Hendrik, you know how I think about these things. But as we evolve, the conversations, they're the sort of things that I think we take away as collective values that we should all be celebrating and sharing and talking about, because you don't get the chance. And again, coming away from NRF a couple of weeks ago, everybody is working around the clock in America. Like, there is no separation between work life, family life, personal life. You ask someone what their hobbies are over there, they don't have one. That silence you talk of, Andre, it's non-existent. But I really love that you've got those disciplines in place and had the foresight and the mentor piece. I'd say it now. Hendrik has become a mentor to me over the last year or 18 months, and he's always available on the end of the phone, and it's very, very helpful. He doesn't necessarily know it, but he's a classic mentor in that he doesn't always try to provide answers. He'll give me questions to think about, and he doesn't pretend to always have the right answer, which I think is a really valuable thing to have. And it's only as you say it out loud that I hear it, and I just wanted to say it as Hendrik is here as well, because I usually just slag him and take the piss. So
look, here's the thing. I think this, what you've just highlighted, Vinny, is why I think Evolve is in a very unique place. One, most of us have worked for European or North American businesses. And I'll be honest when I say to you, what I've learned in the like I'd say the last, I don't know how long I've been with Evolve, is that being outside of America has huge advantages in the sense that, to your point, we understand that there's families, we understand that there's relationships. One of the things that Andre mentioned to me, which I think is something that founders don't spend enough time on, is speaking with their staff, understanding, you know, what and where those people are in their lives. For me, essentially one of the best sound bites of 2025, and I've written it down, and it's not going anywhere, was how Jean spoke about, you know, how the Dutch are, and how he experienced the Dutch when he worked for Adyen. And we are in this position because we are experienced, but also we've seen a lot of things, and we understand that at the end of the day, you need to have balance. I'll be honest, I've not spoken about this on here because I don't think it's too much of value, but I had a severe case of burnout, and it's because I just continue to work, and it got me into hospital, which is not good. But the point is, this community that we have provides us the opportunity to communicate with one another. So when I opened this window today and I saw that there's like a full house of people, one, I rejoiced because more people need to come to this. Carlos and Gustavo basically have provided us with an opportunity to learn from peers. Let's be honest, the conference system that we all go to is fundamentally broken, and here we have, you know, real opportunity to learn from people, and it might just be a couple of sentences. For me, what Andre mentioned today about, you know, understanding, you know, how success gets to be success, I think is, I wish more people would talk about it because it's hard. What we all do is hard work. It's not something where you just magically one day appear and, you know, you're an advisor. And the people that we have in this community are either advisors or sit on boards or sit on advisory boards. As an entrepreneur, you should be reaching out to these people. And one thing that Andre said, which for me is something that I learned in the corporate world, is that having mentors is the best thing that you can do, because these people can tell you the lessons that they learned in ways in which you don't need to experience. We're in armored in this community of not evolve, but in most communities it must be success, it must be exits, there's other ways in which success happens. And I think for me, one of the things that I think is a big deal is just living in the moment. So, you know, Carlos, as much as I give you grief on WhatsApp about, you know, me having excuses for not, you know, not being here, you know, these calls on a Thursday provides you with, you know, it's essentially like a gateway drug in the sense that you get access to people in multiple parts of the world. We speak different languages, but for this hour and a bit, we're essentially aligned and we are listening and we are learning. And the best of it is you can do with this whatever you want, but most people take that for granted. Maybe I said
Thank
too
you.
much.
Hendrik, thanks very much. Well, yeah, basically what Hendrik is saying is it really reflects how Evolve operates as a private commerce club connecting board talent, senior advisors, fractional leaders, and really it's what we strive to build more and more. Andre, final question perhaps is yeah, how do you see the role of an advisor? So I think you touched upon several points here as the ability to zoom out and sometimes provide the bigger picture. I think the story, that story of your friend there, sold to Nokia, and there were multiple acquisitions. It seemed after that. You know, as entrepreneurs, I think sometimes we're not able to see the bigger picture. So perhaps if you could just tell us the role of the advisor, and maybe yeah, I think the point of also when you're doing the mindset, the exit mindset that you shared, having an advisor also to potentially be the bad cop when doing the negotiation. So you as the founder don't have to be the one and that's where we are. And many times Gustavo and I, we are the people like doing the presentations. We are offering customers. We are founders, right? Our services. We also had to be the, you know, charging, sending the bills. But I think when you're at a level when you're doing the sale of your business, it's good also to have someone who can be the bad cop on your behalf, to do the hard negotiations. I think that's actually very very important, so you can reduce the level of stress and, you know, and keep doing your role, performing your role, if you like, as the founder. So perhaps a few final remarks there, and yeah.
Well, one thing when people tell me, with my due respect to everyone, when they tell me you're a coach or you're a consultant, I tell them no, I'm an advisor. And Why do I say this? Because the perception of people about coaches and consultants is different than
Yeah.
what the real role of them. And I tell
Mhm.
them, and they say, so what's different? I tell them, when I'm your advisor, I have skin in the game. We take
Mhm.
decisions together, and at any point we need to adjust the past, pivot, analyze, have a surgery in order for us to heal. I'm gonna be with you. That's my role as an advisor. And I don't remember who mentioned from the gentleman before that. Oh yeah, Hendrik. Before went live, he said there are many consultants giving a lot of frameworks and blah 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 words to entrepreneurs. Yeah, and I believe that's what I have seen in all the countries I have been to. There are a lot of so-called coaches, consultants, even some of them as advisors. But what they actually do is they validate your ego. Yeah, that's what I say.
Mhm.
They validate your ego. They are working with you to validate your ego, so you keep paying for them, so they keep maintaining their paycheck at the end of the month. Yeah. So I tell them, if you're getting massage, it means you're getting bad advice. Yeah, because it feels like massage. It relaxes you, but it changes nothing. A real advisor will give you a surgery. Like the good advice is like surgery. It will hurt you, but it will heal you. Yeah. And
Mhm.
most of the time you hear these, like, not the real ones, let's call them the not the real ones. Yeah, they are giving you advice like hire a sales VP for sales to fix revenue, be aggressive, put a lot of marketing budget, and all of these advice. It's the, I call it the 10x things, like 10x on this, 10x on that, and so on. And at the same
Great
time, they are
control. Sorry.
they are not really giving you the real value
Mhm.
that you need to understand. For example, your churn rate is 15%. Wake up. Yeah, your product
Mhm.
is not gaining traction. So wake up. You need to validate this. You need to check what to do on that. So uh, if the advice is always do more rather than fix a broken thing, and if the advisor is not really finding that broken thing, he's not being a real advisor. Okay, so comfortable advice, massage advice, is rarely profitable in the long run. It may work on the short run, but it may not work on the long run. And you can see it when we work with businesses. 4 years ago, I joined a business as an advisor. Now the business is 32-year-old business, not the person. Yeah. And they are in 6 countries. The first thing I saw is that the business owner loves to do sales. She loves to do sales. And I told her, your when you hired me, you want to exit and you want to have either a partial exit or a full exit. You can't be in sales. You have to be on the business. It took us 6 months for her to be out of the sales, like not even knowing what any client talking to her. And then at the end of the year, we were reflecting on the year. She said, the best advice I had, which was so painful, is for me to stop interacting with my clients to sell them. Now I
Oh
interact
no.
with them if I want to talk to them, but not to sell them. So that's the very different mindset. And when by the way, I'm launching my book by the end of the year, in September. I will invite the community, of course, to join. So the book is called The Energized CEO. One of the business owners that I've met in 2025, he was on burnout, although he got $13 million in investment in December the previous year. In March,
Mhm.
he was burned out while he was scaling the business to another country. Most of the entrepreneurs, they think if you got the money, you're in great shape. Like, you're lucky, you got the lottery. But basically, having a $13 million injected in his business with a lot of other things happening at the same time, he went burned out. He actually left the country. He went to another country just to be away from the business. And in the energized CEO, the process that I take, I first let the business owner list their tasks, how many hours each task is taking per month, and then I ask them to scale to score each task on a scale from 1 to 10. How much does it take from their energy? If it's a nightmare, that's 1 2 on the scale of 10, and if it's something they love to do, it's on the 9 10 8, and also the other all the scale. Then I ask them to and I call it the road to energy. Road R is reduce the tasks that they are taking less than 8 over 10 on energy score, reduce the time putting on that, automate, outsource, or delegate. And by doing this, you have an action plan for who to hire, what to automate, what to outsource, what to reduce, where are you putting your time. Imagine a business owner, a hospital owner, she was spending more than 36 hours in meetings every month. We dropped it we dropped it drastically just because some meetings were enough to spend a minutes of meeting. Some meetings were enough to attend only the first 20-30 minutes to reshuffle the agenda and make sure she's there. Some meetings just send her assistant to convey some messages, and some meetings she doesn't have to be there. But when you don't have this advisor who's telling you the hard decisions to take, basically you don't know what you're doing wrong and you don't know how to fix it. So that's my main message.
That's amazing. Andre, I don't want to be rude. We're gonna do more expert sessions with you, and like we have Jean. Jean has been an expert. Hendrik has been an expert twice now. I invite the community also to co-host. I I will leave to our co-host today to do the closing of this session. We're gonna promote your book. We're gonna put in the description. So Jean, if you like to perhaps do some final remarks, Hendrik is always doing some great final remarks as well. Yeah, we'll have to close 1 hour and 6 minutes. Truly appreciate it. So it's gone fast.
Yeah. No. I think this was a super valuable session. Like I said at the very beginning, it's always rich when someone is talking out of experience and not talking about the good sides, but also the bad sides, the honest stuff, right? Things that many entrepreneurs and founders do not want to hear, right? But are simply the reality. And in that sense, I think you bring so much valuable and rich experience, Andre. It was really great to have this conversation with you today. So congratulations. And I look forward to seeing you in Brazil if I don't see you in Dubai first.
Sure, looking forward.
Awesome. Hendrik, final remarks, my friend.
So one, as I said to you privately, Carlos, this is a topic near and dear to my heart because I don't think enough attention is placed on this for entrepreneurs. It only becomes important when it's really an important situation for the entrepreneur. Number one. Number two, Andre has, without a doubt, like Jean mentioned, shared nuggets from his experience, which makes this more valuable to than most. Essentially, this hour that he's been talking, you can literally just take today as like it's, I wouldn't say it's a TED talk because that's disrespectful, but essentially this is the cliff notes from a PhD course in how to do this properly. And I sometimes am amazed that there are these people like Andre that just joins the community and they they add massive value to it. My simple summary for this week is this. Jean mentioned it in the comments. One, having yes people around you is not good. I particularly liked Andre's explanation of the difference between an advisor and a coach. I hope that's a chapter in your book, Andre, because that's one of the best explanations that I've heard of. But in saying that, for me, today just highlights yet again where we are from multiple parts of the world. We speak different languages, but for an hour, we can all assimilate knowledge that is very relevant to us all, and we can share experiences with people that potentially could go through this. I'm glad that I joined. I'm asking myself, why did I miss a couple? But that's a story for another day. Yes, Carlos, you were right as usual. I won't say that too many times, but you know that. Other than that, yeah, till next week. I'm interested to see who joins us next week. But this week for me was an early nomination for best talk of the year that I've witnessed or listened to.
Thanks very much, Andre. If people want to know more about you, and what's the best way to connect?
Well, first, thank you, Hendrik, and thank you, John. Thank you, Carlos. Well, I second Hendrik about I should not miss any of these expert talks. I will be coming back. And for everyone who was watching, thanks a lot for staying till now. You can see my name, and I'm available on LinkedIn, and I'm there. You can connect with me, and we can have any conversation that I can support you with. And looking forward to more energy.
That was beautiful. Thanks very much. Thanks very much, everyone. See you all next week. And yeah, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.